All right, Hawks, welcome back. Today we're going to cover in this video how to set up a printed technical drawing sheet from this three-dimensional model that we have created. If I was just going to send this file out to a 3D printer for prototyping, that would work just fine with what we have here. But if I wanted to share this model with others, okay, send it to a company to build, manufacture some way, shape, or form, I need some sort of technical information along with this 3D model. They need to know sizes and materials and specifications. So we're going to talk about how to do that today in this video. So here we go. We are going to leave this file alone, and we need to actually open up a new file in Inventor. So I'm going to go over up to the File, New, and we get this pop-up window back. We should have seen this before. We're going to continue using the English template, and before we started with an IPT, that's a part file. That is something we would use for the modeling like we just got taken care of. Again, the assembly is something where we put lots of parts together into a big assembled item. That's what an assembly would be for. Today we're going to be using this ANSI inch IDW. This is an annotated document, and this is the beginning layout for that. So I'm going to open up an ANSI IDW, and this is probably what you'll see when you do the same thing. So this is a separate file. We see up at the top it says Drawing 2. Okay. If I go back down over here, you notice I have two documents open. Here's my dovetail slide file, my IPT file, but now we're working in Drawing 2. So what I'm now going to do before I get rolling is I'm going to try saving this. So I can either go to the Save icon here or File, Save. And just like before, I need to pay attention to where I'm saving it. So in this case, I'm going to save it in the same location as my part file. You'll notice I currently don't see the part file. That's because it is a different file extension. There's my part file, and we're going to be saving an IDW. So I'm also going to call this part dovetail slide, just like the part file, except this will be excuse me, an IDW file. So let's go ahead and save that. And now I have my IDW file saved. Now I'm ready to start setting things up. And I generally recommend that we talk about or set up the sheet. Okay, what we're seeing here in this kind of yellow off-white is a representation of a piece of paper that we might share a technical drawing on. Okay, if we kind of zoom in down here, this is a D as in dog, size title block. And you'll see there's already some stuff filled out on this sheet for us. A D size title block is effectively a 2 foot tall by 3 foot wide piece of paper. It's pretty big. There's pros and cons to working on a piece of paper this large, depending upon the size of an item that you're creating. You at home, if you were working on this, probably don't have a printer that will print a piece of paper this large. So the first thing I'm going to suggest that we do is we're going to go over here to that model window, that model tab, and we have sheet up here. Now yours may or may not be expanded. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to right click where it says sheet 1, and we're going to edit that sheet. When we do that, it brings up this menu, and we have some things that we can do here. First thing is let's talk about sheet sizes. What we talk about in, I guess, the drafting area is the size of paper. Okay, and in America, we've got slightly different sizes, slightly different terminology. An A size piece of paper, A is an apple, like you see here, that is an 8.5 by 11. Okay, that's a standard piece of printer paper we use all the time. A B as in boy, size piece of paper is an 11 by 17. Those are the two sizes of paper we can print on a printer here at school. For this demonstration, I'm going to use an A size as that's usually the most common size of item that I'll have you create. Some of you in the future may do some stuff on B, and gosh, maybe even some D as in dog, but time will tell. So once we have the sheet size selected, that's going to change the size of the paper, and it's also going to change this title block down here. So you'll see on my screen on this menu, I can change the location of what's known as our title block. That's where the information about the drawing is located. We also can change the paper orientation between portrait and landscape. Okay, so what we're looking at on the screen right here is a landscape. And if I apply our changes right here for an A size sheet, you'll see there's not a whole lot of space here for a drawing. If I go back up and I edit the sheet again and I change this to a portrait, you'll see that there's a little bit more of a consistent size layout. What we would have to consider is this drawing area. And effectively, what are we going to try to show in this drawing area? For our demonstration, we're going to go back to that landscape. Again, that's got a little bit longer than tall layout. So it kind of depends on the object you're trying to show and its shape, which one we might roll with first. So now that we've set our paper size up, I'm going to hit the save button again because we made that change. And now we might want to talk about filling out the title block information down here. You can see there's already a name there, and it's getting that. That might not be what I want to show. It's got the current date. It's got the name of the file that I already set up for this file. And it's got our sheet size. It's also got sheet 1 of 1. What that means is we might have a packet of drawings, and there may be 5 sheets in the packet. And this might be sheet 1 of 5 or 3 of 5. The REV here is for revisions. Again, first time you draw something up, you share it. You might make a product, and eventually down the road, that product might fail, and you have to go and do a revision, or maybe the prototype didn't work out so well. But we're going to be concerned mostly with what's up here. This will probably be school information, and right down here might be a little bit more information about our object. So the way we edit this title block is we go back over this model area, and you see where it says dovetail slide here. We're going to right click on it, and we are going to go into the I properties. When I open that up, you're going to see we have a number of things with areas that we can fill in. So the first one here is general. I'm not going to change anything here. I'm going to go to the summary tab, and then we have the title. Well, even though we have a drawing number down here, maybe this is drawing internally, like in our company. Maybe this is SVGRT54. So maybe it's not the name of the file. Maybe we've got an internal name for this file rather than the name of the drawing. So the title of this will also be the dovetail slide. Okay. The subject, well, I guess we are in CAD. The author would be my name, so or your name specifically, so I would put that down there. Now the manager, maybe that's me. Maybe I am your instructor. Maybe someone else is your instructor. The company, for us, maybe that is our school. Got to make it look nice, and there's not generally spell check in these drawing programs. And if I apply that, let's see what happens here. Okay, so now I've got drawn by. Looks like I've got a typo here in the school name, so let's fix that. We've got the title of the drawing. Again, the drawing number, that's kind of what we saved it as. And then we've got some projects here. Again, part number. We've got a whole bunch of stuff here that we might adjust. I think what we've got here, your name. Let me close this. We've got your name, so I know who's drawn this. If you are in a class where you might have a neighbor check your work, you can always put that down here. That might be a nice thing to add. We've got the company, so we're just doing Maine South High School right now, and the name of the drawing. Size of the sheet's decided for us already, and then the scale here, this will get filled in once we start setting up our actual drawing sheet. All right, since I've got the title block set up, I'm going to save again, and now we get down to the interesting part. Because we have created a three-dimensional model, we're going to reference this file in our new IDW file. So in order to do that, we need to go up here to the base view. Now the base view, for those of you that have had previous experience, is typically our front view. It's the most descriptive view of the object. And you see when I go into that base view, we get some things. One, we have a version of the object here, and it's shaded right now. I don't see a hidden line or center lines for circles. We've got a lot of stuff over here to talk about. And we also have our view cube. And this view cube allows us to, if your first or the preliminary view that Inventor gives you is not the view that you want or is not in the right orientation because of the way that you have modeled it, this is where you will change what's going on with that base view. Okay, that's kind of it's almost the most important view we work on because everything else is projected from the front view. And that should hopefully sound familiar if you've been in a technical drawing course before. Other things that we can control. I'm looking at this example and I'm saying to myself, I don't know if all the views I want to show are going to fit here along with the dimensions. So there are a couple things we could do here. Maybe we decide that a B as in boy, a B-size sheet, maybe would be better for the part. Or maybe we decide that we want to try a different scale. So I'm going to try scaling this down by half. And for our demonstration purposes, I'm just going to try to make everything fit on this piece of paper. I'm okay with this. The other, at least the size. The other thing that I might be concerned about is the style. And you can see that there's a hidden line option, there's a hidden line removed option, and there is a shaded option. I do not want this view shaded, but I do want to see hidden lines. All right, so with that in mind, I'm about ready. You could label this view, and maybe I will. We'll call it the front view. And I'm going to say OK. And you'll see now we have a view placed on our paper. Now you see as I hover over this, I'm getting kind of this dotted line around our view. If I want to move this, you'll see when I'm inside of that, I get a move option attached to my cursor. If I left click and drag, I can reposition the view wherever I want it on the page. As it's a front view, it's typically down in the bottom left-hand corner like we see here. And I'm going to hit a quick Control S or save. Okay, you see that Control S is a shortcut. And I'm looking at my front view and I can see that there's some hidden lines. That's a good thing for the circle. I do not see a center line right now. We do not have dimensions. So next item we're going to work on is the other views that we might want to see of this object. And again, remember, they all kind of come from this base view. So once we've got an idea or we're relatively happy with our base view, we're going to go up here to project it. Unless you're in an advanced course, we probably won't talk about auxiliary views or section views until maybe later in the year, or if at all. But these are additional types of views that will give us a little bit more information about an object or more correct information about an object. But I'm going to select this projected view, and I'm going to come down here to my base view. And I'm going to left click to highlight the base view or select the base view. And now, as you see as I drag my cursor, so I just left clicked and now I'm just moving the mouse around on the piece of paper. And you can see as I work my way around, we're getting these different views. And I know that I want a top view, and I know that I want a right side view. And since we have a three-dimensional model, I probably might like to see some sort of a isometric or three-dimensional view. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to attempt to decide visually to try to keep the space between the front view and these projected views about even. Okay, in board work, in more accurate work, we want to actually have stuff very, very accurately portrayed. And I'm going to put that left view or that isometric view there. And you see I've got 3 boxes or green rectangles. And if I am done, I should be able to hit right click, and then I'm going to hit create. Again, you see this right click option, we're getting a lot of different stuff depending upon what I right click on. So when I hit create, you'll see it makes these views for me. Now, I'm gonna hit save real quick. It's very important to understand that you as the drafts person are supposed to be smarter than the software. I have seen instances where either because of the way you have created the 3D part or the complexity of the part, what is getting shown here could be incorrect. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Now, I have a two-dimensional or a hidden line version here, a hidden line version here, a hidden line version here. So the front, top, and right side view are hidden line. But now I might want to take this 3D view and make it look, I don't know, more realistic. So I'm going to go inside this view and I'm going to right click, and we are going to go down to edit the view. Oh, hold on, where is it? Maybe I need to physically select the object and right click, and let's go look at the properties. Come on now. Oh, sorry, right there, edit view. So I just missed it. I thought it was in this list. So edit view. And when I do that, it brings back up kind of this window we've seen before. In this case, I would like to make this view shaded. And I hit the shaded option here. And I say OK. And now you'll see I've got some color on that object. In a later activity, we may talk about how to change materials on this object, which will give it a different appearance. Okay. Next items is, as we see hidden lines, let me think here. I'm looking, I've got hidden line here for this corner. I've got a hidden line for that corner, hidden line for that corner, hidden line for that corner. I see visible lines for this corner up at the top, visible lines for this corner up top here. I see a circle. I see hidden lines for that circle. If I make my way over to the right-hand side view, I have a thinner section here, which looks like it matches the top or the extension here. I have a hidden set of lines for the circle. I have a hidden line for this area down below. This looks like, to me, there's nothing missing from the geometry, and now it's ready to we're ready to prepare this for the proper annotations. And we'll see up at the top here on the menu, we have place views, which we were in. We're going to go over to annotate. Okay, now you got a whole new set of stuff. Now there's a couple of different ways to annotate, and I'm just going to talk about the basics rather than kind of going in and trying to modify things in this video. So the first thing I like to do is put in center lines or additional hidden lines if we're missing them, or additional visible lines if we're missing them. And that can be done a couple of different ways. I like to be, I don't want to say lazy, but how about efficient? And it's possible that the software might be smart enough to put center lines in for us. Okay, so I'm going to go up to this top view and I'm going to right click, and we don't want to edit this view, but we are looking for something like this, automated center lines. So let's see if this will work for us. So here I have the option to have it put center lines in hole features. If we made this with a hole, it should pick that up. We have fillets, we have cylindrical features, we have revolve features, and that's a 3D modeling technique. We have bends for sheet metal, and we have punches for sheet metal. I'm now going to see if I can get this to take the center line and have it show up in the sheet by maybe highlighting this sketch geometry here. And I'm going to say OK. And for this particular circle, you see it added a center mark for us. So let's see if it'll work in this hidden circle down here. So I'm going to right click on this one and do an automated centerline option for this. And I still have a hole feature that I'm going to try and get the software to put stuff in for. This center line for sketch geometry probably isn't going to work on the hidden line. So I do have this objects in view and objects in view axis. I'm going to try to leave those two on. And let's see if we get a hidden line in this location. We were able to. So let's go back over here and we'll try to do the same thing. Automated center lines. And let's do the same thing. And it did work for that last view. Now, I'm going to back up once because it is possible, depending on how you created this hole in the object, some of these might not show center lines. And just so we're clear, this center line should have a dash visible in it. And I currently don't. I'm not going to focus on that right now. So another way to put center lines in, up here under annotate, we make our way over to the right here. You probably see a center line option here. We also see a center line bisector. So let's talk about maybe using those. You also see there's a center mark here, which we probably could use on the circle. Kind of depends on the object, whether or not any of these are faster or slower than others. And you also see there's a shortcut here for automated center lines. So let's talk about putting them in manually. So let's start with the center line itself. With that center line, I should be able to come down here and hopefully it will identify a center, which it's doing right there. So I'm going to left click to start. And now this is where things get a little funky. It's not finding the bottom center of that hole. Okay, and you can see as I drag this out, I'm actually now starting to see a center line dash. So the size of our drawing right now is impacting those center lines. So I would probably like it to be the same size or the length as the center line we have in this view. So that might not be my best option. I'm going to try this center line bisector. And if I grab that, that should work with identifying the two sides of our hidden hole. And that might be another way to very quickly kind of have a center line get dropped in to our object. All right, I'm going to do a save here, and then we're going to talk a little bit about dimensions. And I will not fully dimension this object, but I will show you how to do some dimensions. So let's start with the automated easy stuff. This can sometimes be more problem than it's worth, but I want to show it to you. So you see this retrieve model annotations. We should also be able to do that by right-clicking on a view, and let's do retrieve model annotations. So you see a whole bunch of stuff popped up here for us. And these were, this is information that we had originally used in our sketch geometry. And you can see here we've got a couple options: select features, select parts. I'm just going to say OK right now because now we have a number of different things here. Sometimes these aren't in the best of locations, and modifying all this stuff is sometimes a little bit more hassle than it's worth. So let's start real quick with what I got. I've got this 1-inch diameter. I'm going to try moving it over here. So I'm just left clicking and holding and dragging. I'm going to put that over here because I think that's going to fit all right there. This 2.25, I kind of like where it's at, so I'm going to leave it there for now. This 0.87, I'm going to drag this outside of the view. And maybe you can see here, but Inventor is going to try to lock me into some spacing placement. Okay, so typically we want to keep dimensions evenly spaced. I'm going to use this first lock point right there. And maybe I'm going to go back over here and see if that wants to lock in. That's trying to tell me there. The space between the dimension and the object here doesn't look the same, and that looks okay to me. So I'm gonna kind of just eyeball that right now. What else do we have? We have a 0.75 up here. I don't like that placement right now. I have a 1. I don't like that placement either. Those are both to features that I think I would prefer to do differently. So let's zoom out. And I don't like this 0.75. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to either select it and hit the delete key on my keyboard, or I should be able to select it and right click and delete it. And just so I keep on my right train of thought, that was a dimension for this chamfer feature that we created. I am going to go up here to a dimension, and let's just actually put a dimension in. So like our angle, that was one of the things we needed. We also needed a distance dimension. And I kind of like that a little bit more. It's clearer, and we can actually see the chamfer. Whenever possible, we like to dimension things in the view that actually shows the detail. The 1-inch one here, this is to a hidden line. I don't like that one either, so I'm going to get rid of it. That was to this inside hidden line, which should be for this leg down here. In this particular object, there's definitely some dimensions that we should put down below here. So let's do some of those. I think on our example, we had a dimension for this distance. I'll just say okay to that. I'll do another one here for this width. Okay. And eventually we'll need an overall width. So we could dimension this one over here, but I would prefer not to do repetitive dimensions if we can avoid it. And maybe instead, I want to come up to this view. Oh, sorry, dimension. And click on those 2 lines, and maybe that's the overall dimension that I want to use. Okay. So let's continue on here. I've got a 231. That might be good over here. The downside to that is look where the dimension originates. These green dots, that's not where I want this to be, because you'll see in these other dimensions, I should see gaps in between the object and the dimension. These dots are in the wrong location, so I can try clicking and holding and dragging on the dot, and I can move the endpoints of those dimensions. So I like that a lot more. What's this 169? What is this? Oh, that's our center mark. Don't want to do that. So let's hit escape a couple times. Let me see. What's this 169? At 169, I don't think that's a good location for that. I think I prefer to show that on this view. So I'm going to delete that dimension, and I'm going to go grab a dimension up here. Again, point or line to line. I would prefer to have this dimension be horizontally aligned with this other dimension, and I believe that's what that dashed dotted line is trying to help us do. So there's a 169 dimension. I might also want to know how wide this is. That could be a possible option. Or you could say, maybe this 0.62 I don't need, because I can figure out how big this area is when I subtract it from the overall. So dimensioning does take a little practice, and there's not a 100% answer on how we should do things. That 1 there I don't think I need, and that 2.5 I have down below. I think the only other thing that I need right now, let's see, we have circle, centerline circle, we have this dimension here, which I prefer to have go to the end of the center mark, so I see that gap. Same thing here. So I want to see a gap there. So I got two location dimensions for the center of the circle. I have the circle diameter dimension. I have the overall length, the overall depth. I do not have the overall height. So let's add that in. And maybe I'm going to put that here on this side view. And I'll put that right there. So now I've got overall length, width, and depth. I've got information about the chamfer. Oh, I do not know how wide this is. Maybe I need that. Let's put that in. And maybe I am going to dimension this whole object. We'll see. Okay, there's that dimension. So chamfer, we've got, oh, we need a depth down here. So let's do the depth of this detail here. Now this is a kind of an odd one. Some people will say that this is the placement for that depth dimension, or that opening. So maybe there. Other people might say maybe from this point to this point, and we would bring it outside. I'm not sure which one I like more. I think I like this one more, so I'm going to get rid of that second one that I put in. I also then need a dimension on the angle, so we'll do a angle between these two lines. Sorry, let's try that again. I have to go between the line and the line. Let's see here. Where is our angle dimension?
Oh, we gotta go.
Record. There we go. Line to line. There it is. So I was just incorrectly selecting that. So basic dimensions laid out on a title block that has been filled out. That's where we'll end for today. We'll pick up maybe with how to print in another video. Thanks for watching.